Begin again in the night. Let's sway.
The ending of Dead Money gives me chills, not because of the constant dangers or the grand treasure at the end, but because its message is something that we can all understand. Everyone carries something that they wish they could undo. A choice, a moment, a memory that you think about during the quiet parts of the day. We play the what if game, rewriting scenes in our head, imagining a version where things turned out differently, as if life were a story that we could flip back through, choosing a different path. But life doesn't work out like that. Once a choice is made, it stays made. And sometimes we carry that weight for years. That's the trap. We get caught chasing closure we'll never find, stuck in the past, clinging to this idea that if we just try hard enough, we can change it, we can fix it, we can make it fair. Dead Money understands this. It builds a place out of that obsession, a vault of regret, a casino housing voices of the past. In the real world, that place only exists in our minds. In Fallout New Vegas, though, it's called the Sierra Madre. Each character in Dead Money is, in one way or another, trapped. It is only by letting go of their obsessions with the past that they can truly move forward. And while only 4 new characters make an appearance in the DLC, there is one character that was mentioned that also shared a similar fate. Part 1, Frederick Sinclair. The resort, the casino, and the surrounding villa were all created by one man, Frederick Sinclair. He built the Sierra Madre to be more than just a place of luxury. It was meant to give people a fresh start, a chance to turn their lives around and begin again. But underneath that idea was something else entirely. Hidden beneath the casino was a massive vault designed to survive a nuclear war. Sinclair believed the end of the world was coming, and he wanted to be ready. He also wanted to spend that future with the woman he loved, an up-and-coming singer and actress named Vera Keyes. Sinclair's love for Vera wasn't just strong, it was obsessive. Everything he built was for her. But then he discovered something that broke him. Vera and her ex-lover, Dean Domino, were planning to rob the Sierra Madre. When Sinclair found out, he took it personally. He changed the resort from a safe haven into a prison. The elevator to the vault was altered so that it would only go one way. The holograms, which were once part of the resort's charm, were reprogrammed to kill anyone who came near the vault. Vera felt guilty and admitted the truth. Sinclair tried to fix what he had done, but it was already too late. While working on the elevator, he was killed by a toxic gas leaking from a broken pipe. That gas would later become known as the Cloud. Sinclair died alone, trapped in the vault he had built for himself and Vera. His refusal to let go of his anger and pain ended up destroying everything. The resort became a tomb, not just for him, but for anyone else who got too close. When the bombs finally fell, the Sierra Madre sealed itself off. The holograms turned on the guests. Vera Keyes, once meant to be saved by the vault, died alone in her suite. The cloud spread across the resort, covering everything in a blood-red mist. Time stopped. Nothing changed. The Sierra Madre survived the war, but it never moved on. Just like its creator, it was frozen in the past, a monument to obsession, betrayal, and the danger of holding on too tightly to what's already gone. Part 2. Father Elijah. Long after the world ended, rumors of the Sierra Madre began to spread across the Mojave. People spoke of an untouched resort hidden in the mountains, filled with old-world technology and unimaginable wealth. Some dismissed it as a myth. Others believed it was real. And one of those believers was Elder Elijah, a former leader of the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. Elijah had once been obsessed with Helios 1, a massive solar energy facility he believed housed an almighty weapon. Though, after sacrificing many Brotherhood members in an attempt to hold the facility from the encroaching NCR, his faith in the Brotherhood was shaken. He saw his own faction as weak, too cautious to change the world in any meaningful way. Elijah believed the Brotherhood, and the Mojave itself, needed more than just change. They needed to be wiped clean and rebuilt from the ground up. To him, the Sierra Madre was the answer. It represented power, control, and the chance to reshape everything. Elijah, yet again, had become obsessed. He spent years searching for the resort, gathering old data, and piecing together its location. When he finally arrived, what he found was even more promising than he imagined. The Sierra Madre was a fortress. Its security systems were centuries ahead of anything the Brotherhood had. Its vault promised resources and technology that could tip the balance of power in the entire region. Elijah believed it was the key to his new vision of the Mojave, a place where the mistakes of the past could be erased and order could begin again. But the resort was never meant to be opened by just one person. Traps, locked systems, and automated defenses stood in his way. Elijah couldn't do it alone. In his desperation, he enlisted the help of a mentally unstable nightkin named Dog. With Dog's help, Elijah began kidnapping people from the wasteland. He forced them to cooperate by fitting explosive collars to their necks, making escape impossible and betrayal deadly. Group after group failed. Some died from the traps, others turned on each other. A few made it as far as the casino, helping Elijah get closer to the vault. But when his last team perished, Elijah was left alone in the casino's control center. Surrounded by a decaying fortress and guarded by machines that did not obey him, he was stuck. Just like Sinclair before him, Elijah became a prisoner of the very place he hoped would save him. He believed he could force the Mojave to start over, but he couldn't even move forward himself. His dream of a better world was built on control, fear, and death. And in the end, it left him just as isolated as the man who built the Sierra Madre in the first place. But Elijah didn't give up. He waited. Eventually, a new team would arrive. One that just might succeed where the others had failed. One that included someone unlike anyone he had encountered before. Someone who, like the Sierra Madre, carried their own ghosts from the past. Part 3: God and Dog. Not much is known about the partnership between Father Elijah and his nightkin servant. What is known is that when Elijah needed help capturing would-be treasure hunters, the nightkin known as Dog was more than willing to follow orders. After all, Dog had always followed orders. A member of the Master's army, Dog was shaped by years of trauma. He had spent his life being told what to do. He was conditioned to obey, to serve, to be needed. And after the fall of the Unity, Dog didn't know how to live without someone giving him orders. But Dog was not alone. Deep inside his mind, another voice had taken root. One that remembered the abuse, the manipulation, the pain. This one called itself God. God saw Dog as something fragile, like a wounded child clinging to any voice that offered him purpose. To God, that vulnerability was dangerous. Every time Dog followed another master, it ended in violence or pain. God believed the only way to protect Dog was to take control completely, to lock Dog away and silence every voice that tried to command them. He wasn't cruel. He was desperate. Dog thought God was being mean, that he was trying to erase him. But God was really just trying to protect him the only way he knew how. In a twisted way, God loved Dog. He was like a little brother. But he was also someone who needed to be saved from a world that kept using and abusing him. Trapped in the Sierra Madre, both sides of the Nightkin's mind fought for control. Elijah continued to use Dog, having him capture and collar others who had come seeking the treasure of the Sierra Madre. God waited for a chance to break free, not just from Elijah, but from the endless cycle of obedience and self-loathing that had haunted them since the fall of the Master. After triggering the gala event, God and Dog finally get their chance to stop their suffering. The Nightkin plan to blow up the entire resort, along with Elijah, the courier, and anyone else trapped in the Sierra Madre. In doing so, God and Dog believe that their pain would finally come to an end, that their trauma would finally be over. However, it is thanks to the courier's intervention that the cycle of trauma has a chance to be broken. Depending on the player's actions, the courier doesn't see a monster or a tool. They see a person at war with themselves, both sides broken by the past. Through conversation and confrontation, the courier offers something no master ever did: the chance to choose, the chance to stop running, stop obeying, and stop hiding. The courier can present Dog and God with a third option: the option to unify the two into a single identity. This choice allows the Nightkin to let go of the voices that define them, the ones that hurt them, and the ones that shaped who they became. Going down this path results in the Nightkin forgetting the events that took place at the Sierra Madre, struggling to even recognize the courier afterwards. And while that may sound tragic, to forget your own savior, it offers something a bit more valuable: the chance to stop living in fear of the past, and begin again. Part 4. Dean Domino. Where Dog had followed orders to survive, Dean Domino survived by trusting no one but himself. Before the bombs fell, Dean Domino was a star. He sang, danced, and charmed his way across the country and into the many casinos of the Las Vegas Strip. But behind the smooth voice and flashy suits was a man who was deeply insecure, unable to stomach the success of others. So when the Sierra Madre invited him to perform, Dean Domino accepted. But he didn't go there just to sing. He went there to take. The casino's founder, Frederick Sinclair, represented everything Domino hated: wealth without effort, optimism without caution, and success without sacrifice. Domino became obsessed with taking what Sinclair held most dear. That included Vera Keys, the starlet who captured both men's attention. Using Vera as a pawn, Domino orchestrated a plan to break into the vault beneath the Sierra Madre. When she hesitated, he blackmailed her, unaware her addictions were the result of a terminal illness. He thought he was playing a clever game, but he hadn't realized the rules had already changed. When the bombs fell and the world ended, Dean Domino survived. He became a ghoul, but he never stopped chasing what he believed was owed to him. For 200 years, he wandered the halls of the Sierra Madre, mapping its security systems, plotting the same heist over and over and over. The entire world had moved on, but his obsession didn't. Eventually, Father Elijah captured him. Domino was fitted with an explosive collar and forced into Elijah's scheme, made to work with people he had no reason to trust. But Dean needed to get into that vault, because if it stayed closed, then all of Dean's suffering, scheming, and survival meant nothing. Dean Domino couldn't let go of the past because he believed that it had robbed him. The treasure he sought wasn't just wealth, it was proof. Proof that he was right, that he mattered, that he hadn't been outshone by men like Sinclair. But sometimes, surviving doesn't equal winning. Sometimes winning just means letting go. When the courier arrives, Domino is once again cast in someone else's story, and for the first time, he's forced to confront the possibility that his obsession has become a cage. Whether he escapes that cage or clings to it until the bitter end, that choice is left in the hands of the player. If all goes well, Dean finally realizes something he spent centuries avoiding. The curtain fell a long time ago, and it's okay to walk off the stage. It's okay to begin again. Part 5, Christine Royce. Where Dean Domino clung to the past and Dog was chained by it, Christine had hers stolen. She was born into the Brotherhood of Steel, a life made for duty. Her life could have been simple, unremarkable. Well, that is until she met Veronica. They didn't ask to fall in love, it just happened. Quiet, sincere, and real. But things don't last long in the Brotherhood of Steel. Elder Elijah saw potential in Veronica, potential that he didn't want to share. He split them apart and made Christine disappear. But Christine didn't walk away. She joined the Circle of Steel, the Brotherhood's shadow unit, watching from the edges, waiting for orders. When Elijah defected after the fall of Helios 1, they sent Christine to clean up the mess. She didn't hesitate. Finally, she'd have a chance to stop the man who cost her everything. That mission would take her across the wasteland, through ghost towns, war zones, and finally to the Big Empty. There, in a place where science had gone mad, Christine was caught in another of Elijah's traps. She was mistaken for a test subject, dragged into an autodock, and dissected without consent or anesthesia. With the help of a courier named Ulysses, she managed to escape. And after spending some days with the reflective courier, she discovered that her final destination was the Sierra Madre. She was captured yet again, though, fitted with a collar, thrown into a team she couldn't trust. Dean Domino saw her as a tool, something to be reshaped into the voice of Vera Keys. The autodoc carved her throat open and remade it again and again. Christine endured 2 weeks of that pain without breaking. By the time the courier meets her, Christine is silent, not by choice, but by trauma. And yet, of all the unwilling participants in Elijah's grand plan, she's the most capable. A survivor, an assassin, a tactician, a woman with unfinished business. She never wanted revenge for its own sake. What Christine wanted was to stop Elijah from hurting anyone else, to keep others from losing what she had. But she believed that it had to be her, that she was the only one who was capable of putting him down. And then, she lets someone else do it. If the courier shows her kindness, earns her trust, Christine doesn't end up pulling the trigger. She lets Elijah go to his fate without her. Not because he didn't deserve to die, but because she deserved to stop chasing him. Christine stayed behind at the Sierra Madre, not out of guilt or failure, but by choice. She became the warden of the resort, a silent figure in a place that had stolen her voice. Over time, the ghost people began to watch her, follow her. Some believed she was one of the holograms. Maybe, in a way, she was. But it was this time that she got to choose silence. And it was in that quiet that Christine Royce finally was able to begin again. Part 6, The Courier. The Sierra Madre was never about the gold. Not really. It was about the people who couldn't let go. Dean Domino, obsessed with proving that he mattered. Dog, terrified of being alone and without orders. Christine, chasing a ghost across the wasteland. And Father Elijah, trying to control a world that had already moved on. Each came to the Madre thinking that they could take something from it. And then came the courier. They weren't really part of this tragedy, but they became its final act. Whether by choice or by accident, they stepped onto the stage. And like everyone before them, they were tempted. Tempted by the vault, by the idea that if they suffered enough, schemed enough, or survived long enough, that they deserved the treasure at the end. Some players do carry the gold out, step by painful step, dragging the past behind them. Others walk out empty-handed, but finally free. And that's because that's what Dead Money is really about. It's not about survival or revenge or even winning. It's not about victory. It's about the moment that you stop chasing the past. It's about the moment that you let go. And whether the courier learns that or not, well, that's up to the player. That's all from me today, folks. If you liked the video, be sure to share and subscribe. Join the Discord. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.
Finding it, though. That's not the hard part. It's letting go.
It's letting go.
It's letting go.
It's letting go.
It's letting go.